sports, 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 sports.
Hello, sports fans, and welcome to Sports on the Spot. My name is Willie Charger, also known as the Professor, and I'm going to be joined by Nick James. And this morning, we're going to be talking about the NFL with a focus on the playoffs that are taking place. Let's begin our discussion of the NFL playoffs by first talking about what happened last weekend. Of course, the playoffs started with the Rams losing to the number one seed Packers in Green Bay. What's your analysis of this game?
Well, Willie, last week I kind of predicted that Packers are going to run away with this one. At one point early in the third quarter, it was 25-10. I honestly thought it was going to be a bigger lead going into the half. The score at the end was only a 12-point loss or so, but really the Packers had everything on display.
Too much Aaron Rodgers, too much Packers offense, and unfortunately, the Rams went home. Of course, the second game pitted the Ravens losing to the Buffalo Bills. Not quite the outcome that you expected, right, Nick?
Yeah, it was a really close game, just like I thought. Going the other way, of course, it came down to two missed field goals by Justin Tucker, arguably one of the best kickers in the league, and that pick six from Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen had a touchdown, and Lamar Jackson didn't. Really, it was a sloppy game kind of on both offenses. The Bills only had 32 rushing yards, and it was a pretty close game overall. So just a few mistakes.
I admit I spent time talking about the vaunted Ravens defense and how they were going to be the difference in the game. I forgot to mention that the Bills have a pretty good defense themselves. They only allowed 3 points, and right now they're one of the better defenses playing in the league. So don't sleep on Buffalo. The Sunday games, of course, pitted Kansas City against Cleveland. A much closer game than a lot of people thought it would be, and part of it had to do with Patrick Mahomes getting knocked out with a concussion. Um, could the Browns have won the game if their wide receiver, Rashard Higgins, hadn't fumbled the ball out of the end zone towards the end of the first half?
I mean, that's a 10-point swing, Willie. Instead of getting a touchdown going into the half with all that momentum, turns around to 3 points the other way. While Pat Mahomes was all over the Browns defense, they weren't getting the touchdowns early, and it was still a pretty close game regardless of how efficient Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs were looking. And, that was a pretty crazy play. The helmet to helmet contact should have been reviewed. That fumble through the end zone shouldn't have happened. The Browns had every chance to win it, even after that, even with Pat Mahomes going out. If they could have scored a touchdown and won the game and not even gone into overtime, they just couldn't get it done. So great progress this year. Really looking forward to what they can do next year.
The last game, of course, was the game between Tampa Bay and the New Orleans Saints. The Saints losing at home, the Saints failing in their effort to beat the Bucks 3 times in a row. What was your analysis of this game, Nick?
Well, Tom Brady just came ready. He's about to be in his 14th conference championship, as we were talking about. And he knows what it takes to get here with this team. He knows the talent around him, and he willed himself to victory. Drew Brees looks like a shell of himself. 3 picks. That offense was just not explosive. Kamara had a decent game, but they didn't get a lot of wide receiver production. And the big play of the game came on a trick play with Jameis Winston. Drew Brees is looking really broken, and it's going to be a tough year next year if he decides to come back.
I don't know if a guy would want to end his career on a game with a game like that. 3 interceptions, that's a tough way to go out. But I agree, he didn't look 100%. He didn't look healthy. He didn't look like he could really throw the ball that far. So if he does retire, I think he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. But we'll see what happens there. Of course, he's not the only quarterback that's just on the verge of retiring. There's two others that people have been talking about: Philip Rivers and Big Ben Roethlisberger. Uh, what do you take on those two guys, Nick?
Well, for Big Ben, he's had a really good first half of the season, really fell off. I don't know if it was injuries, I don't know if it was game plan and scheme, but Mike Tomlin's already been talking cryptic messages about cap space, and I guess he's going to hit about 41 million against their cap next year. Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be a free agent, so are they going to try to keep these guys together? They don't normally re-sign wide receivers to a second year extension without a few exceptions there with Antonio Browns and Hines Ward, but it'll be really interesting to see if they decide to bring him back or if he decides to even come back. In that same draft class, we have Philip Rivers. I know you're a big Charger fan, Willie. What do you think about that?
38-year-old Philip Rivers, 16 years in the NFL, 15 with San Diego. Oh, excuse me, Los Angeles Chargers. Um, Yeah, I am a big Rivers fan. I know he's the kind of player that fans either love the guy or hate the guy. And me, I've always loved him. While some people might think he's kind of arrogant, I always thought he was kind of a fiery type of guy, role model, good citizen, and a great passer too. Of course, he never has won a Super Bowl, and for that reason alone, people don't rank him as high as other quarterbacks in that same 2004 draft class, Drew Brees and excuse me, not Drew Brees would have been in the league 2 years before. I'm talking about Eli Manning and Big Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, he's got the numbers to be in the Hall of Fame. He just doesn't have the ring. That might have been more of the Chargers' fault than his. But, he always has a chance to get in the game to win and somehow just doesn't always make it happen. But yeah, it sounds like he's either going to return to Indy or go coach some high school football. So it'll be interesting to see what he decides to do.
We'll keep our eyes on his future. What about the coaching carousel that's going on in the NFL these days, Nick? We have a number of new coaches that have been hired. Uh, which one stands out to you?
Well, the big one that stands out to me is Sele with the Jets. He's bringing a tough defensive mind to an organization that really needs a huge culture change. And Sele is on the Niners with a really high powered, high ranked defense. I think they're going to respect him. I mean, the Jets just have a history of bringing in meh kind of people and meh kind of talent, washed up talent, overvalued. I mean, Adam Gase, like he was like supposed to be the savior of the Jets, and really just it almost put him backwards. So I think they're gonna kind of have a Dolphins rebuild. They're gonna do a little bit better next year, and then they're gonna have a really strong defense in the next couple years. Who really stands out to you, Willie?
Well, I'll let you talk about Urban Meyer in a little bit, but the one that stands out to me, of course, is the new Charger head coach, Brandon Staley. Staley, who is a former Rams defensive coordinator, part of a continuing trend in the NFL to hire young coaches. I mentioned that Rivers was 38 years old. So too is Brandon Staley. Uh, he's only been in the league about 4 years, but yet in those 4 years, he's really made a name for himself. Of course, last year being the defensive coordinator on the number one ranked defense, the LA Rams. Um, we'll see how that pans out. I'm very optimistic that he's going to come in and turn the Chargers around and hopefully make them a playoff team.
Yeah, they got a lot of talent on the defensive side. They got Joey Bosa, Derwin James, and I think that maybe giving some of that offensive control over to a coordinator, focusing on that defense that really seems to plague the Chargers every year. We know the offense can score. I'm really excited to see what he has to do. You mentioned Urban Meyer. That was also an interesting one, as we were talking about earlier, because that's a big name guy going to the Jags that needs that kind of energy in its organization. They were a few plays away from possibly going to the Super Bowl a few years ago, and now, they're 1-15. They got the first pick. They're possibly going to get Trevor Lawrence to pair with Urban Meyer. A lot of college excitement there in Florida, big college state.
He's
So
has a lot of draft picks.
yeah,
Jacksonville has a lot
he
of
has a
draft picks.
ton. So they have some talent there. They got a lot with their rookie running back. They got a lot with some of those receivers. It's just going to be a matter of can they turn that culture around from what it's been. All right, Willie, now it's time for Sports on the Spot, our viewer submitted questions. We have this question from Basketball Sucks. Can we cancel it? 91. How has college figured out how to make a compelling overtime game, but the NFL can't figure it out? I think that's a great question. What do you think, Willie?
The NFL is still run by dinosaurs. Uh, they evolve, but they evolve very, very slowly. Um, I think the NFL should take a look at college football's overtime rule because it is, like you say, much more exciting. The fact that both teams have an opportunity to score and to win a game. I think that that brings a certain level of energy and especially a lot of excitement at the end of the game.
Yeah, and just like we saw a couple years ago with Pat Mahomes sitting on the sideline after Brady goes down and scores, and he doesn't have a chance to retaliate. And I
Exactly.
mean, it's just crazy how they haven't caught on to this yet. Fans want a good game. No one feels good about winning a game just on a touchdown. Yeah, if they no one scores on the first drive, like maybe it doesn't have to be college football where it's like blow for blow, but in the sense, I think that if it should be at least like field goals, where if a team goes down to score, another team should have a chance. And I to kind of pile onto that, I want to get rid of ties. I mean, no one wants a tie. There's no ties
There's
in
no
the
ties in college
playoffs.
football.
Yeah,
When's the
so
last time you heard of a college football game ending in a tie? The NFL seems to be okay with ties.
yeah, well, I think they're looking out for their players. That might be more of a player-oriented thing, but I'm all against it. I think there needs to be a winner. So much at stake with that Eagles tie in the NFC East this year, and kind of weird bracketing in their division.
Let's start talking about next weekend's conference championship games by first stranger Ronnie and his rundown.
All right, guys, we're back with another week of NFL playoff action, giving you your picks. Pretty good week last week. Went 2 for 3, 2 for 3.5 for whoever's keeping track of home. And if you are keeping track of home, find something better to do. Okay, don't worry about it. All right, but we hit on the Bucks, we hit on the Bills, Rams, whatever. That's a throwaway. And the Chiefs and the Browns, the over didn't quite work out, but that's okay. Mahomes is taken out of the game. Who knows what happened? All right. But we're moving on, and we got some two nice, juicy picks for you over here, okay? We got the Buccaneers at the Packers. Packers are -3.5. I know I said last week, how can you bet against Tom Brady? Well, guess what? I'm betting against Tom Brady. All right? If you got a problem with it, you can solve it. My buddy Sal Sandelcarlo just moved over there to Green Bay. He says the cold, the snow, it's all, it's brutal. Can't handle it. And there's one guy who can handle it, and that's Aaron Rodgers. He's on another level to begin with. And if there's any weather implications, I only like the Packers even more. All right? I'm a huge Brady guy. I love Tom Brady. He's not going to get it done here. The Packers are on another level. Playing at home. Rodgers with the smirk. He's smiling. He's so confident and cocky. I love it. I'm taking Packers -3.5. Next game, Bills at the Chiefs. Got the Chiefs -3. If you think Patrick Mahomes isn't playing in this, better yet, if you think the NFL would allow this game to happen without Patrick Mahomes playing in it, I got waterfront property in Arizona, I like to sell you. Okay, and my buddy Jimmy Giancarlo actually just moved over there. Said it's pretty nice, but there's no waterfront property. I tell you that much. All right, so I'm going with the Chiefs -3. Mahomes is playing, and that's all you need to know about. I'm pretty sure they got fans in the stands over there too at Arrowhead. So I'm gonna go with the Chiefs -3. Look, don't overthink it. Packers -3.5, Chiefs -3. Set it and forget it. See you at the Super Bowl. Rodgers versus Mahomes.
All right, thanks, Ronnie. We've got a couple exciting games coming up this weekend. Willie, who you got for the Chiefs and Bills?
A lot of this game is going to depend on whether or not Patrick Mahomes is able to play. Right now, he's going through the concussion protocol. I heard that he's passed through 2 of the 3 of the stages needed to get back on the field. He's supposed to practice tomorrow. If he doesn't play, uh, there's only about a 30% chance that the Chiefs have of winning with Chad Henne at cornerback. Even if he does play and he's not 100%, uh, this game could go either way. But I think he's going to play, and I think that the Chiefs are going to win this game and go to the Super Bowl once more.
Yeah, I'm looking a little bit differently here, Willie. I'm thinking the Bills, with or without Pat Mahomes, are going to have a better quarterback behind center. Their defense is a lot better. Can they keep up with Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce? Might be a little hard, but I think they're the team to do it. I'm taking the Bills by 6 this weekend, at least. So it's going to be another kind of grinded out offensive game. It'll really depend on if Pat Mahomes is going to play or not. But what about the other game? We have the Packers and the Buccaneers in Lambeau, one of the first NFC Championship games in Lambeau for Aaron Rodgers, the starter.
Aaron Rodgers, the pick for MVP in my book, up against the Hall of Famer Tom Brady. This is a tough one to call. It's really difficult to go against Tom Brady, but I am going to do that. Aaron Rodgers is playing lights out this year. Uh, he and his coach seem to be on the same page. The play calling has been brilliant. Witness what happened in last week's playoff game. Um, I think that the Packers just have too much on offense, and I think in the end uh, they're going to prevail and win this game, and they're going to go on to meet the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
I'm a huge Aaron Rodgers fan. I've been loving what he's been doing all year. He's in his element. He's in Lambeau, number one seed. I'm going to double down on last week though, and I'm going to go with Tom Brady and the Bucks. I think he's already shown that he deserves more credit than Bill Belichick. Now he wants to rub it in his face. I think he's really going to show everyone, he played in the snow for, almost 20 years. So I don't think 1 year down in Florida is going to change him too much. So I'm going with the Bucks. I think they edge him out by 3 this week.
We'll see what happens, but either way, it's going to be a very, very exciting and very close game. Well, that's it for this week's show. Thanks a lot to everybody for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and review and rate our show if you have a chance. Of course, you can always send in your sports questions to the show so that we can answer them on the air. The email is sportsonthespotshow@gmail.com. Have a great day, and we'll see everybody next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Unbelievable.